All right, welcome back, everyone, to the StarLadder and iLeague StarSeries, Day 5. We're onwards to the last match of the day, opposing Kolento, none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Kolento, and Zalae, of course. Zalae had a kind of a rough streak last time we cast. You know, I was fire bad 2 days ago, and Zalae had a very targeted lineup, trying to, isolate rogue, or at least decks that are weak to aggro, as his lineup is extremely aggressive, and got very unfortunate draws against Dan Sivka. So hopefully for him, this lineup ends up working a little bit better. This time, we haven't had too much aggro today, Lothar.
Yeah, almost nothing. Well, if you count aggro, it will probably, like, the closest deck to aggro that we have seen today was most likely Mage.
Sure, and that's just because it runs a lot of burn, but we didn't see Pirate Warrior, we didn't see any aggro Druid, we saw no hyper aggro Murloc Paladin, sure some explosive openers here and there, but none of the usual stuff we've been expecting since the metagame has come out. And stabilizing in the current meta, I'd say the aggro looks quite strong still to this day. Now, in Group B, Zalae is the only non-European, the only North American player in there, so feeling quite isolated, but, he's 1-1 right now. Still a long way to go before everything's settled. He's got a way to climb back up if he wants.
Kolento, though, if he will lose this game, he might join ranks of Show soon enough, because Show is already 0-3. Just to remind you guys, place 1 and 2 are advancing straight to the LAN finals in Kiev, in Ukraine, while the place 3rd and 4th in the group after the round robin is advancing to the last chance qualifier, which we're going to be played in a double elimination format.
Yeah, so these guys will still have quite a few matches to go. It is a round robin again, so they're all going to be playing 7 other players in trying to maximize their score for the tiebreakers and the cutoffs. As of right now, Kolento is still playing the same lineup as earlier since they submitted their decks about 10 days ago. The Rogue in Kolento's lineup I want to highlight because that is what Zalae has been targeting extremely hard. He's bringing an aggressive warrior, an aggressive druid, and the paladin deck as well. Just trying to isolate that one rogue. Hopefully for him, it works out better.
Yeah, I kind of like that lineup. When I see like a certain strategy in Conquest, I like this very much. It is like kind of stretching it thin when it comes to the ethics, let's say like that, right? When you just kind of try to exploit something. But I like this exploit. It just makes sense.
Yeah, that's kind of the point of Conquest, too, is that you're trying to isolate specific things. And Rogue has been kind of hailed as this titan in the metagame where Quest Rogue just dominates everything and it warps everything, people say. The truth is, it's a very good baseline to go off of. You can use Rogue as a cornerstone of your strategy or expect it to be banned. It's basically what keeps people honest because it beats control decks, so you have to ban it if you're playing control, and it lets aggro do its thing, so you can still play aggressive decks. We're not going to be seeing, just a metagame of the same 3 things. So looks like we're going to get another Paladin versus Paladin match here, but we saw the Bluegill Warrior in Zalae's hand, indicating something of a more aggressive deck. Oh man, Kolento's on the play, and he's on the coin, and he's got the cards that work extremely well together to create explosive openers, where Zalae is going to struggle a little bit to catch up. This Rockpool Hunter is devastating for Zalae. He doesn't have any good way to clean it up. So Kolento with the coin is able to play that Finja as early as turn 4. The turn 5 is going to be a little bit on the slow side, but then he's going to be able to play Spike Christie, so that'll help him catch up. The biggest question here is, what are you playing around? Like, are you playing around War Leader? If so, what do you kill first? At the end of the day, the 1-1 ends up trading upwards no matter what you do, and you essentially just have to worry about Bluegill. And in this case, no matter what happens, unless there's specifically a War Leader allowing the opponent to trade up, you're probably going to stay ahead on board. And since he didn't have 1-drops, even though the likelihood of the War Leaders goes up, you have really solid follow-up anyway to beat it. So Zalae looking like the opening hand that he has is not what he wanted. It looks a little bit like a sad man. Yep, can't fault him for that. Aggro decks not doing their thing. And of course, Zalae forced to play the trading game here, from behind. Kolento's going to be able to keep playing the value game. Doesn't seem like much, but these little 1/1 Murlocs are putting even more pressure on Zalae, the typical Silverhand recruits, because not only do they represent, the 1/1 body that are already problematic enough for him to handle, but they're also potentially buffable with a second rock pool, with Cold Light, Murloc War Leader, sorry. So these 1/1s are a much bigger problem for Zalae than they seem. Alright, Kolento's got the Finja, effectively saying to Zalae, well, if you've got nothing good to play next turn, you're pretty screwed. And since he can keep that Finja stealthed for 2 turns, he can get the Spiker Steed on it, even though Zalae's opener or follow-up might be, a decent mid-sized minion. I guess there's an argument for not playing the Finja yet and just going for Hydrologist Hero Power. That lets you get the Spiker Steed on the board earlier. Or keep the coin for Tyrion on 7, so you can go like Hydrologist, Hero Power this turn, then to Finja, into Spiker Steed naturally, into coin Tyrion on 7. So that's potentially a bigger blowout in the long term, which I think is the reason why we're going to see that happen. I don't mind that play. I think it's pretty solid, actually. And if you pick up Redemption, that sets up for a decent Spiker Steed target as well. Gives you some Sunkeeper Tareem outs. The wider you are on board, the deader the opponent's Sunkeeper is. That's something to keep in mind as well in the matchup. And Zalae just picking up more stuff that's off curve. I mean, a 2/3 is sure contests the board, but it doesn't allow him to target it with Blessing of Kings. It's just kind of dreadful. Like going back to square one.
All right, I'm back. Sorry, my internet provider seems to not know that I'm casting right now.
Sure, whatever. It's all right. Don't worry about it. We're just talking about how these beautiful Murlocs from Zalae are not putting any aggression together, and Kolento is effectively the one playing aggro. Zalae is playing a more aggressive list, but he's got absolutely nothing. Complete air, keeps drawing off curve, doesn't even have Waffen Inquisitor set up. It's all bad.
Yeah. Well, Zalae's Paladin is kind of like a focus, very board game focus, and has little to do when it falls behind. So it's really ridiculously hard for him to get back on the board, because you see, like, he uses cards like Oracle, which only have value when you already have Murlocs on board, and it's usually more than just one. He plays double Blessing of Kings, if I remember correctly, and double Spiker Steed. So there's a lot of cards that require board control.
Well, Spiker Steed makes it so you don't get the kill with Finja, right? So that's one way Zalae can come back in, like, really, really hard. Finja almost feel like it has to stay stealthed, but I was mentioning just how you can keep it stealthed and get that coin Tyrion if you wanted. Like, there's really no rush.
It seems like a pass anyway. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. You have no reason to unstealth this minion. Best case scenario, you just get punished harder, so I like the...
What is even more interesting in this matchup is that what I can read from this turn is that Kolento doesn't have a Peacekeeper, so you can contemplate Blessing of Kings this turn.
Not fair enough, so you just push max damage and put your minion out of range of Finja so hard that the opponent has to have equality to make anything happen.
You can play both the Cold Light Seer and the Oracle, and the Blessing of Kings here. I wonder. What I'm talking about, Oracle is the +1 attack.
Yeah, the Cold Light Seer, but it's the we understood what you were saying. Everybody got it. And it looks like Zalae is just gonna go for the Grimscale Chum. A little bit more stats, also more Murlocs on the board, right? Which means that suddenly the Cold Light Seer does more, and the Sunkeeper Tareem finds more targets. But he's gonna have to start pushing aggression. That's exactly what he does.
Ooh.
Just when you think it can't get worse for Zalae, these things happen. The best thing, or at least the weirdest thing, is that Kolento can even go for equality, coin, Spikered Steed. And to kill a Stegodon, which gives him more Murlocs and nullifies Zalae's advantages completely with 2 Stegodons spawning.
Yeah, that is it.
Ouch.
The value out of this turn is just crazy good. Spawning even a War Leader. Man, this is looking rough. Even
To
when
be
you-
fair, though, Zalae's lineup is not targeting this deck.
Yes, that's true. He might lose this game and still win the entire match. He can even lose 2 games and still win the entire match because it's all about that rogue.
Well, Zalae is
If he wants
looking
to
at
be in the
Tyrion,
game,
I guess, but
really,
he just
as
had some
Tyrion?
Vilefin.
Yeah, I was thinking about Tarim.
It's a bit early because the War Leader buffs the opponent's minions, so you don't really get to kill anything this turn.
Well,
It's
that's
either Tyrion or Vilefin, Go Wide, Cold Light Seer, but all of these are they just feel really bad. To be fair, I think the weapon in hand is going to be what helps Zalae come back if he does, because he's going to be able to extract value from that, which right now Kolento doesn't have from Zalae's perspective. So that can be what closes the gap.
I wonder.
For Kolento, though, he can sacrifice the 3/4 minion. It's not a big loss. Basically, nothing gets lost here. You can always think about using Primordial Drake first,
I wonder.
and then kill the Tyrion with the Finja, get additional Murlocs, push for damage, and the thing is, Primordial Drake is like the best defense against the weapon being spawned.
Honestly, the double Stegodon is just as good. I really don't see how Zalae is supposed to stand a chance after the opener that they had. He stayed in it long enough, but he's going to scoop it, understandably, and Kolento is just going to take it. When your deck doesn't do what you built it to do, and you're playing an aggressive list, and it draws nothing but the top end, in Zalae's word, why should he be upset,
Yep. I mean, as you mentioned, it's all about that rogue, so it doesn't really matter if he loses here or not. At least it shouldn't, right? That much, because if he gets those 3 wins on the rogue, he's gonna take it.
Yeah, the stats don't work that way, but get your bad luck out of the way first, and then draw well when it matters the most. And he's gonna queue the aggro Druid into that rogue. That's a fantastic matchup.
With that logic, before we go to the casino, you play at home and get all that bad luck out there, and then you go to the casino.
Win? What if you win at home?
Then you play so long at home, so many days, when you actually have a losing streak, and you're like, yes, I'm ready. Now I'm going to the casino, getting those jackpots.
That sounds like a
those
sick plan.
blackjacks.
That sounds like a sick plan. So
those straight flushes, everything.
The this matchup here is very polarized, of course, in favor of Token Druid, more so when they play very boards that go wide cards, like Valid Teacher. No more Eviscerates in Rogue. And that skews the matchup in favor of the Druid even more if you have stuff like Valid Teacher. Because they just can't answer you at all. Like, it's nearly impossible. And we look at Zalae's opener. Innervate Valid Teacher into Mark of the Lotus is effectively a complete shutdown. Like, I can't even think of a thing that Quest Rogue does to stall that.
Yeah, well, Preparation Vanish, right?
Sure.
But it requires Preparation Vanish to be even in the deck. I mean, the Vanish, because the prep is there. And then in the hand, so that's definitely problematic.
And then does that beat it? I still think you get screwed when they follow up replay of it, right? They just replay more stuff, and you eventually just get swarmed. So interesting spot for Kolento to win from. Zalae might opt to play this a little bit slower and keep the Mark of the Lotus for turn 3. So he goes Firefly, Firefly into Innervate, Vile Teacher, Mark the Lotus. That's a lot more damage pushed, and I think that might just be like straight up better. Yeah, I think that's better too. Plus, it's also less vulnerable to that Vanish play.
There's the prep. He will get that Vanish, I'm telling you.
I mean, even if he does, I'm not sure that's sufficient. But there are 2 bounces in Kolento's hand, so let's give him some credit here. He might be able to pull it off. Oh man.
My god.
I don't know if he's going to be able to pull it off. I'm just going bipolar on you, man, but I just... everything seems so bad.
He's gonna growl and the rogue will just die.
I'm looking at this, right? Let's assume Vanish comes out. Okay, I play 4 1-drops. Now I Savage Roar. Now what? You know, it's just one of those cases where everything the rogue does is I wouldn't say meaningless, but it's almost to that point.
If you don't kill a single minion, you're dead. Even if you kill one, that's still 4, 8, 12, 16, 18 damage. So you need to kill at least one.
Well, Zalae, I mean, Kolento's gonna try to put the most little taunts in the way here. I mean, I doubt he plays Fan of Knives at all, but...
Well.
Alright, let's go.
Well, there's no thinking here. You just Savage Roar, go Feisu, and it's GG.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds about like what this deck wants to do. Just push 20 damage on turn 4. But, you know, Force of Nature was the problem. You know, that was one of the biggest bad Force of Nature.
Wait, you can joke around, but it's still the charge that is the problematic mechanic.
Sure, I can agree with that. Sure, I'll give you that. I'll give you the charge as a problematic mechanic. Anyway, Druid locks out a win against its desired matchup. No big surprise there. Paladin and Warrior coming up for Zalae. We saw the Paladin some top end. He plays a Spiker Steed, plays the Kings. Sometimes we'll get awkward openers, but it should overall have a decent matchup. But of the two decks that Zalae has, the Paladin is the one that's most likely to probably like lose to that Rogue, I think, compared to the Pirate Warrior, which is never favored. So.
And this is not a good opening against the Rogue. He needs more presence, especially like not cards like Bloodgood Warrior, which die to the hero power from Rogue. Look at that, that was the vanish.
This is awful for Zalae. I feel like he's just never drawing the cards he's looking for, and that double Firefly for Kolento is putting him very, very far ahead in terms of quest completion. Very likely he ends up finding a quick way to complete it.
Yeah, he should also start with the Firefly without even the quest. Like, there's no reason to play the quest first. You can just go aggressive with the Firefly. You still will gonna make the quest with the Fire Elementals, not with the Fireflies.
Yep.
And you
it
probably
costs
don't want
you
to
a
use
bit more
Fire.
mana over time, because you always have to replay the second part of the Firefly, but it's usually not that big an impact.
I mean, 2 and 2 looks like you're just gonna play Novice Engineer. So you're gonna play the quest at turn 3, but it's also decent for in case you get a Ferryman.
Sure. Yeah, Zalae is just drawing blanks. You know, it's kind of the story of his aggro lineup against Rogue. I feel this event. That's a card you want to see.
That's
Finally.
a good call.
Nice job, Zalae. Well done.
Well met. What did he get? Playing with the legendary card back like the hipster he is.
Yeah. Zalae is no fun. Which is your favorite card back?
The classic one.
Huh. Giving away 0 information.
No, not really. I just like the bluish hue on it. It just looks nice. Although I use the power core because it's sparky. No. I think like I'm gonna switch to the classic one right now.
Anyone who doesn't use the cupcake card back is no friend of mine.
Well, I'm not your friend anymore, Noxious. I think I'm gonna disconnect right now, okay?
Sure. Let me cast this alone, no problem. Zalae took the Getaway Kodo here, which is clearly one of the best options he has given the hand texture that he's got and that he's looking at. Because he's looking at the Bluegill as a potential reusable damage output. Because it forces the opponent to basically trade into it, respect it. So you attack face, and then you get it back, and you can sometimes get an extra charger for later in the game. Grimscale Chum into Bluegill gives you some decent value, but that means you're not playing Getaway Kodo.
Man, this is rough.
Maybe you go for the
Zalae.
Grimscale Chum Bluegill anyway, right? Because if the Rogue trades everything away, she's not bouncing anything, she's not completing that quest, and you win anyway.
I don't know, man. I don't feel comfortable with using that Bluegill already. The Bluegill on turn 6 is just a lot of damage to the face because you can put on his back the Blessing of Kings. So it actually acts like a steed. But what about just the jump into the Gateway Kodo? You're mana inefficient, but at the same time you get a decent buff next turn as well.
Then you're not stopping the rogue from completing her quest, which I think is what you're sort of forced to do here. Because if they bounce that Firefly, you're just out of the game, right? They start getting the bounce train going. And Zalae's got no info that there's a second Firefly there if the quest were ever to be a factor.
That is a good point.
You know, like, Kolento's so off-curve, he can't play the bounce just yet. So he's going to count on his opponent not having a good answer to this Firefly and the Flame Elemental, so... This is kind of playing into what Zalae was looking for. I wouldn't be surprised to just see a Tempo Megasaur. It's so common in that
Second time
matchup.
today. Oh yeah, definitely. We're gonna definitely see the gentle Tempo.
There's not... What else? And it's really good right now. You know, we're laughing about it, but it's just really good at the moment.
Sick. 5/4 minion. Won't anything. It's a beast though.
I mean, it hits face really hard.
Like 5 times hard. Alright.
Play another one. The Firefly is back in the hand and it's going to get replayed, so that's already 3 elementals, Fireflies and Flame Ellies.
Now he has to kill the Firefly, and that's awkward. Because he either plays the Blessing of Kings, hits the opponent's face for 8, but it doesn't really do much, or he kills the Firefly and plays War Leader? This is so...
I don't mind. How about trade play double Megasaur? Play the other one with Kodo. Because Kings is really just not bad to end the game fast. Because if the quest gets completed, how do you win?
Yeah, you can. We did see this already today when Pavel switched the gears and was like, well, I guess I lose anyway. But look at that. The Tower Creeper is actually a tech that not many people use yet, but I think that everyone will start it.
Oh, and the Stone Shaper! So sick
shit.
after the Creeper.
Well, that is something I didn't anticipate at all. This is one of those cards that will actually win you this matchup because of it.
Well, we've seen more and more of it in the tournament. I feel like in the StarLadder League, at least, we've seen more of this than I'd expected, which is super interesting to me. Oh man, there's a Getaway Kodo. There's War Leader Bluegill that just seems miserable. There's Bluegill Megasaur, sometimes gives you poisonous. Then you get to connect face, but I mean, is that just the only play? I feel like it's the only play. +3 attack, poisonous.
There we go.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Well, that's 9 damage to the face. It's 1 turn away from killing Kolento, but Kolento has an ace in his sleeve.
But is it enough though? I mean, that's a that's a good card, but you still must address the state of this board, right?
Do you? Look at that. The Stone Shaper goes into the deck, right? Sorry, on the board. If your opponent did use a charge minion, so the only way he deals additional damage will be Consecration, and I actually think Zalae is not playing that.
Sure.
Truce of a Champion, he plays it at 100%, and the second Bluegill. This is what kills you.
But we've seen 2 Bluegills already, right?
If we've seen 2 Bluegills, that's on the Truce of a Champion. And you can... what you can also do is just hit straight face. No, you can't play Vantage, because you need something on the board. So, you need to play the Tolvir this turn. That's 100%. Then you can think about sacrificing 3 minions to the 5/4.
What if you... That's the problem, really, is that you're guaranteed to be trading those Fireflies, like that Firefly away, and hoping that Tolvir helps you. But now you're still losing kind of the long game. Because that 9/8 is okay with hitting that 3/5. Sure, it's not, the best feeling in the world. And sure, you have time to get that quest completed because you're vanishing those elementals back into your hand. But then all Zalae has to do is connect with True Silver once, and he just wins the game straight up. And he can hit your face with True Silver, if you're 3/5s out of the way. This is the best chance that Kolento's getting for sure, though. That Tolvir play. But
Zalae did draw the Truce of a Champion, so that's a blessing for him. Otherwise, he would lose a lot of tempo. Because that Vanish with the Flame Elemental was the play for Kolento next turn. But now, with the Truce of a Champion, it makes it more awkward.
Yeah, and now Zalae is going to be forced to respect the Vanish by killing this 3-5, because otherwise there are circumstances where he just finds himself getting Vanished, and then this gets replayed with Flame Elementals on the back of it, and everything kind of goes wrong.
Alright,
now,
well, he's 1 mana short to finish the quest here.
Yes, that is true.
With the prep, that would actually be amazing.
I mean,
There's no prep.
He'd be 1 off lethal, I think, with that, right?
But he would just trade with minions.
Yeah, sure, yeah. And now Zalae can set up a taunt with a Spikered Steed, which is actually really awkward as rogue, because that's like 12 health, which is exactly above the cutoff of what you can handle. You can handle 11 okay, you can handle 10 okay, but 12 is just kind of a nightmare. And now Zalae is figuring out what is in Kolento's hand. He knows there are 2 Flame Elementals, so this quest is getting completed next turn. The issue is, how often are you dead? Do you play for Murlocs? Do you play to kill the Flame Elemental? Do you kill Face?
Tough decision made. I feel like...
I think you have to kill that little thing and just play War Leader, Seer, Hero Power, and set up
I don't
a
think
General
War Leader
Megasaur.
actually is the choice. I feel like
You want to
going...
play War Leader, Seer? Okay.
I feel like it. Or even maybe double Megazords.
Move quickly.
But if any of your Murlocs live... Okay, so the Murlocs are worse against the 5/5 to charge, that's for sure. The issue is your Megasaurs are also pretty bad against them, and then you just have 0 lethal outs. Whereas now you can always use those Murlocs as buffer targets for Megasaurs, since you're playing 2 of them. And if your 1/1 lives, throw whatever Miracle, you just spike her Steed, and then you're still close enough to winning the game on the back of whatever's left in the Stegodon.
I don't know, man. Having 2 5/4s, which trade directly with minions from the rogue, are not that bad.
Yeah, but how do you hit the face with that rogue if they trade? Because you're so far behind afterwards. There are too many charges, I think, in the rogue deck for this to feel good.
Well, still, Zalae can just win the game right now.
But
If he gets
Kolento.
Let's see. What is the out? What is the out? He need to play the Murloc first, the Tightcaller, then play double Megazords and see if he can get the lethal. He needs twice the +3 attack or the Wind Fury. There's the Wind Fury and the +3 attack in one. Unlucky. Now it all depends on the second one.
Well, you might still take +3 attack anyway, just to trade with a 5/5 if things go wrong in the second hit.
Yes. The Wind Fury is not important.
No.
I mean, if he gets the +3 attack now...
The Wind Fury or +3 attack number 2
That's
both do it, and that's the Wind Fury. That's going to close out the game in favor of Zalae. Man, that was a tense match for Zalae. Had the worst opener I think I've ever seen for that deck.
It wasn't that terrible. He had a 2-drop, but he was lacking the 1-drop. If he would have had the 1-drop, it would spiral really fast. Because he had access to War Leader, but because of that, he was always lacking that 1 Murloc on board, which was putting some pressure, and that some pressure is transferred into like few points of damage. And the few points of damage is actually super important.
Yeah, you absolutely need to have it. It's such a fine... The worst thing, too, is that rogues usually end up beating you because they get 1 extra turn. This specific rogue deck, it wins by a tiny margin, you know, when you're an aggro deck, if they beat you. It's never like they're blowing you out of the water. And this is kind of what almost happened. Kolento, given 1 extra turn, just won the game. And when you look at the trend of players who choose to bring those slower decks like mid-range Paladin and whatnot, they often do so because those decks are more consistent and less reliant on sick openers like Zalae's lineup is. So sometimes the aggro decks defeat themselves in a weird way, whereas the mid-range ones usually have a variety of options and they have comeback mechanisms. Oh man, Zalae double frauding. I mean, I'm super excited for that if you're Zalae, but you're still looking for something on turn 1 or 2. I mean, this is... Just give Zalae a 1-drop and he'll be happy. Otherwise, very slow hand for a Pirate Warrior.
It seems like Zalae has just a curse of some form.
To be fair, though,
double floating berserkers like 2 and 2, 2 and 3 is super explosive. Because all those minions are like, oh, I don't really want to play those into the Floating Berserker because they spiral like super duper fast.
Yeah, and this is kind of what Zalae is gonna bank on, is that the Frothings can carry a lot of the weight.
Oh my god.
Zalae is absolutely... There's no way he's not cursed in some form or another. But you know, one of the interesting things too is that means his deck still has double South Sea deckhand for later stages. Right now, like if he picks up any weapon, which he desperately needs, this Naga Corsair represents effectively like half the health of that rogue.
Oh my. That is a clutch draw from Kolento. The Glacier Shards will be the tempo that he needs to get the quests rolling at some point.
Do we see Heroic Strike with patches here?
Man, that is so sad. But you need to do it. I don't see another way. You need to trade with that guy and save your Floating Berserker.
That was an error. Misplay! You drew patches! Zalae here was not ready for this. I mean, granted, he does have a pretty strong body on the board, and if Kolento whiffs on bounces, like Brewmaster, Ferryman, second Shadow Step, Zalae can definitely make this happen.
Yeah, but that Glacier Shard, MVP, man. And Shadow Step as well.
Yeah, Mimic Pod's gonna have to find a bounce, I think, though. It's gonna need to find Ferryman or Brewmaster. That's...
Or a second Glacier Shard.
Sure, go ahead. I'll take 3 of them.
That would be the best thing. Shadow Steps or another Glacier Shard. Crap. Well,
does it get worse? I don't think so. For a Mimic Pod in that deck? Ew.
You want to play the Glacier Shard right now and already use the Shadow Step on it? That's a tough call, though. Like, you know that you were playing against a Pirate Warrior, so the only way he deals the 1 damage to that guy is either he swings a weapon, which he obviously doesn't have, or he gets Nzoth First Mate, which he didn't have as well, so he needs to top deck an answer. In this case, he actually gets the answer, although it's a horrible card, but it is something.
It is buffing 2 Frothings, it's removing the Glacial Shard from the bounceable pool of cards, and suddenly, Kolento is looking at no good way to complete the quest, I want to say. Not that there is none at all, but this is...
Man, I don't know if that Shadow Step shouldn't have been played on that Glacier Shard.
I think it should have. I would have been tempted to play it. I think that's the best way to lock out the game, but Kolento probably has played enough of this deck to know that there are other things to Shadow Step, like the Biofin Tide Hunter. I mean, stopping Arcanite Reaper hits.
Yeah, that's true. I can definitely understand his reasoning, because first of all, it's hard for that warrior to actually remove anything, and especially with this kind of draw and read of Zalae's hand. So I can definitely understand why didn't he kill it. I mean, in retrospect, I think it was a mistake, but it's no way. It's no way that the chances were on Zalae's side. I think it actually was the proper move from Kolento to play that Glacier Shard and not bounce it right now.
So Zalae with the Bloodcell Raider plus the Bloodcell Cultist can have enough charges on the weapon to deal and dispatch these little Fireflies. That's good for him. I mean, he needs to get those out of the way before quest completion arrives, but it's mostly about board state at this point. You know, Naga Corsair is not really good enough on its own. Getting a 3-4 and a 3-3 is a pretty solid move to have here against Rogue. They have no Eviscerates. Some of them cut Backstab. You know, it's just... They've got nothing to handle this board.
He needs a second Vandal, right? Oh,
could get it. I mean, it's not impossible. Now Kolento's on 2 Fireflies for quest completion, I believe. So, still far away from having done everything. 3 Flame Elementals were played. That's going to be quest with the prep. The 5/5s are coming out next turn, and Zalae has to end this ASAP. Because that 2-1 is basically a 10-10. Good luck, Zalae.
Well, that's definitely problematic.
Yeah, I said, you know, that double prep for Mimic Pod was pretty bad until you account for the fact that it's exactly enough with the flames. The fact that he got Vanish first was excellent for him.
Yeah.
It was crucial, actually, I'd go as far as saying so.
Well, now Zalae is...
Just dead.
Yeah. Wow.
Just dead.
Well, that was unfortunate. The deck that should kill the rogue just draw blanks in the beginning and then draw patches. So, not really the best way of judging this this matchup. It should be like a 70-30 to the warrior, but this is the 30% chances where the rogue actually takes it.
Yeah, and to be fair, the matchup that's coming up isn't the worst for Zalae. I mean, we're talking about a Jade Druid, I believe, from Kolento, and Wild Part Warrior doesn't usually have what it takes to go through piles and piles of armor and Jade Behemoths. If piloted correctly, if you just get the good opener, it's far from unwinnable, and that's what matters the most. It's a matchup you can win. Sure, it's not as favorable as the Quest Rogue, but you're not gone yet. This is not like a 70-30.
Yep. Although Kolento has a really good opener. Jade Idol into her Jade Spirit. It's nothing to scoff on.
Yeah, you want to get that 1-1, and you want to get that 2-3 body on the board as early as possible to contest those pesky pirates. So, lucky for Zalae, he's got the best possible answer to this, which is Nazat with the patches coming out of the deck if he doesn't draw it off the top. Oh my goodness, that coin South Sea Captain.
This might get ridiculous.
What was the stats on South Sea? Best card ever when coined out. No, but I think somebody said that it was the card with the highest win rate when coined out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, something like that.
Interesting.
What were you going to say?
I was just going to say that if Kolento doesn't use the hero power and goes instead for the Innervate Jade Spirit, he might just get blown out. But he goes for it. Kudos to him.
And now Zalae is staring down the Frothing, staring down the South Sea. I think you're still always...
You think so? I feel like Frothing Berserker is not bad. Because then you
it doesn't die to Wrath, so yeah.
And you still have the South Sea Captain into the deckhand.
Well, what you have to wonder is what he plays next. And if he plays Jade Blossom, you're happy, because that South Sea Captain with the patches trades into it perfectly. And that's kind of what you're looking for. So yeah, I tend to agree with you. The Frothing is better first. But there's no Jade Blossom here. Kolento's going to have a responsive turn. With the swipe. A little bit awkward, but gets the job done.
Now with this... Oh man, that's so rough. He can go actually for the Nourish, just ramp up.
Sure. Seems perfect. You get to kill the patches now. And you still have your swipe available.
Yeah.
You're enabling Jade Behemoths. You're enabling Aya Blackclaw, so your draws are getting better now instead of being dead. Still kind of awkward, but you can make this work. Yikes. Kolento's gonna be sad.
Is he? Man, I don't know if I like this.
South Sea is trying to bait a Wrath, basically, to protect the Frothing. I think he's just trying to bait it away from the Dread Corsair.
Huh. Slow playing it. Oh man.
Softening up the board, removing some of the stats on these guys so the swipe is more effective, making the Wraths even livelier than they already are. I can see why he's taking that line of play. Not particularly one I would have taken personally, but I understand where it's coming from. However, it looks like it's about to get pretty punished.
Exactly. Zalae can go for the Corsair into the deck, and the deckhand trades. Gives +2 attack on the Frothing Berserker. Frothing Berserker attacks to the face for 5. The same happens with the South Sea Captain. Attacks for 3 to the face. You leave the weapon because you can play your Goblin next turn.
Do you want to play it on the Reaper, though? Because buffing the Reaper to 6 kills Behemoth, so I think I might opt to just keep the Goblin for that and play Korkron on the downturn.
Or just play Arcane Reaper next turn, right? That's
I think that would be your turn. Exactly. I really like the line from Zalae, though, that... the baiting removal didn't pan out, but it's still perfectly fine. And now he's trying to see if he has to play around swipe too much. I mean, I don't.
Well, that's kind of weird.
Well, it's setting up the most damage on Paladin possible.
Well,
So that if he swipes, he's still dead over 2
by-
turns to Reaper.
By attacking with the weapon to the minion, you actually add 1 damage to yourself, while you add 1 damage to Paladin Berserker, right?
Yeah. I don't think the self-damaging matters much. The point is that Reaper ends up killing with Greenskin on its own. Oh, goodness gracious. That's a Bittertide Hydra.
There's no way a Druid can handle that. There's no mulch. But you want to kill the Fandral. Like, you want to play around that Feral Rage. Like,
Play around the
Kolento-
Nourish, I guess. Sure.
The second one, yeah. Kolento has literally the worst card in his hand right now. There's nothing worse.
I mean, you win anyway. You've got Greenskin on a Reaper against a deck that does not have anything. If a Behemoth comes out, you just Greenskin your Reaper, go right through it, and keep pounding at face. Zalae's just got all the tools to handle pretty much anything Kolento's got in the deck, I think.
Kolento needs to get a 1 mana spell right now. No Jade Idol, no Earthen Scales. Earthen Scales would be actually pretty crucial. And another way of buffing the weapon. Although, seems like the Greenskin is the best option here anyway.
So the question is, do you kill the Auctioneer again to stay, true to what you're doing? Because you're still setting up lethal if you attack it, and you just play Greenskin first. Because that way you prevent, the runner, Feral Rage, into Jade Idol, into Earthen Scale.
Earthen Scale. Yeah, that kind of bullshit, right? So you definitely want to kill it. There's no way a Druid can get out of this with just 1 card. I mean 2. Even if it's Nourish. Like, you Nourish, you get 1 Innervate in your entire deck. That leaves you with 7 mana. What do you do with 7 mana and 7 points of HP? And a weapon?
My God!
Okay, never mind.
We're
Well, that's
alive.
clutch.
Doesn't mean we win, though. Doesn't mean we win, but at least we're alive if we're Kolento. What a draw! Still doesn't save him, because Zalae's got more where that one came from, damage output-wise. I mean, he's not looking tired at all. He's got more and more stuff coming. But that was one of the crucial pieces Kolento needed to even have a chance here.
All right.
Yeah, it looks like the time has come to bring out the big boys, and that Bittertide is locking down behemoths. Greenskin's taking care of Tar Creeper and smaller minions. This is just devastating.
Now what would help him would be that Innervate. But still, man, so awkward.
Get Feral Rage, armor up. I mean, you can still survive, technically, but that Bittertide, man. What a card. Yeah, I mean, your Bittertide is still healthy after this play, right? Pretty safe and sound at 5 health left over, which is the important part here. So it matters the most.
I wonder.
You do get punished by swipe, though. Sort of, but not much. If you play Kor'kron Bloodcell, you're just pushing so much damage. Hardly matters.
I think you just
What now?
go for the Pirates here.
I think Zalae's considering trading Kor'kron and the 2/3 instead of the Greenskin.
I don't think that
But,
matters that much.
I think it's just less. You're going so much less wide on board that it's probably just straight up worse than keeping the Greenskin healthy. But I much prefer this line of play where you kill with Greenskin and Bittertide. So swipe wouldn't quite deal with the entire board. I mean, it helps, it's cute, but it's not enough. That certainly isn't.
Yeah.
And I think Kolento's just gonna fall over after this one. He's gonna concede, and Zalae's gonna take it 3-2 in the series. Despite losing to that rogue, still makes it through DJ Druid. Man, that was a close one for Zalae, man.
That was very close. With those awkward draws for him, it wasn't really looking great. But now, Zalae is taking the game. His 2-1 in the game, so Group B is looking good for him. While Kolento falls down 0-2. Not a great start for the champ.
I mean, we were talking about Kolento being, a very strong player as a returning, since when Gora came out, he just kind of returned to the game and put the most time, I think, that he's put since I wouldn't say GBG, but I feel like that's the era where he peaked the most, in the TGT era, GBG era, and then took a break, focused on streaming, is coming back now, and that's a pretty rough start to the StarLadder and iLeague StarSeries. It's one of those things where 0-3 is the worst case scenario, clearly, because then you're fighting for tiebreakers to even make it through. But 0-2 means that you are not allowed any more mistakes, any more bad variance or negative variance. So it puts a lot of pressure on you. Show is probably feeling the brunt of that. I mean, honestly, Frozen on the other side of the bracket is just completely destroyed. And hopefully for Show and Kolento, they end up making at least a bit of a better run in the future days. That being said, guys, this will do it for the broadcast today. This was the last match of the day. Kolento versus Zalae. We have another day of casting coming up on the 22nd. It is going to be at 18 p.m. CEST as well, as is always the case. We'll have more matches, again, 6 of them from Group A and B, mixed in together, I believe, or it's just Group B to finish it up. I know we have some people in Group A, like Bunny Hopper, that are going to be playing. 6-0 is going to be playing Tice and Orange as well. So we'll be back on the 22nd. On this note, thanks all of you for watching. We'll be back. Until the next time, take care of yourselves.
Thank you very much for watching.